All right, I think we're recording here. Hey everyone, I'm testing out a new recording software, so hopefully this doesn't get too glitchy. But this is, I just wanted to record this real quick video to help you get started up because I think it's a little bit easier to see me do this in real time rather than like providing a set of bullet points or something, just so you can see exactly where I'm going on the GitHub page. So I'm gonna go ahead and shrink my face down here, hopefully, and move over. So as I mentioned in the email, you should have gotten an invite to join this HasTools Fall 25 GitHub organization. And you might have to scour your email for it, or you can also go up here, log into your GitHub account, and there, if you go to notifications, you will have one that's asking you to join this organization. And once you do that, you will be listed here as one of the members. I see we've still got 3 invites going out. So once you do that, you'll be part of the organization, and I think this bears a little bit more explanation. So let me just really quickly go to the main dashboard. So this is what my GitHub world looks like when I just come to github.com. So you'll see I'll have my username over here sort of on this left panel, and then I can switch between all the organizations and stuff that I'm a part of to filter things down. So once you do this, you will see HasTools Fall 25 here, which you'll be able to use to filter out. As you can see, HasTools Fall 24 was still pretty popular in my listing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to this, and then, well, I should go back. So I've been making some changes and getting things updated. So once you filter down to this on your dashboard, you can go into the HasTools Fall 25 organization. And really the main page will look a little bit different than this. I think this is because I'm the owner, I think. I'm hoping to get this a little bit more streamlined, but the main spot that you'll be interacting with things in is the repositories. And at the moment there are 2. There's the course materials, which you should never have to really do too much with this actual repo. That's where I'll be adding things and changing things. And then there's additionally this homework template repository, which I will get to in a second. I also want to highlight that I would like to try this out, and I'm going to create a new discussion here, and I'm going to call this one a poll maybe. So I'm going to say programming experience. So this is just walking through like one way that I think, sorry about that, I'm a little bit under the weather here, but how I would like to try to interact sort of asynchronously with the class. Since we're already doing everything on GitHub, I think this might be a little bit easier than, you know, standing up a Slack channel or everyone getting on Discord or something like that. I think this, because we'll already be here, this should work okay. So, you know, I'll pause the recording while I type this out. Okay, I think I hopefully did that in the right order. So I just wrote out that I would like to, you know, gauge some of your interests and your experience level. So I just wrote out mine, and sadly, realizing I'm getting old now, but and then I just listed out some of my sort of interests in terms of like what software packages I'm interested in. It's fine if you don't know what these are. These are just some that I'm currently sort of learning and using, and then also sort of the overall research methods that I'm interested in. So please let me know the type of stuff you're working on. And this, you know, this is mostly, in my case, I just wrote them out with respect to sort of computation. But, you know, if you're interested in other areas like experimental design, sensors, or even the sort of key topics of, like if you're interested in urban flooding or whatever, please put whatever you want in here. It's more just to kind of gauge what your interests are and how I can better suit our topics to hopefully address all of your goals. So once you have responded to this programming experience poll, please I guess I have to make this a poll. See, this is where I don't really know what I'm doing. Let me go back. I'm going to copy this. And I'll leave this in just to show that we don't all know what we're doing here. And never will. Okay, so now I'll hit start discussion on that. And ooh, it gives you a nice little celebration. That's nice. Okay, so please respond to this just in the little comment block here. You can use their little formatting stuff as well, and you can also, if you want to learn more about how to write Markdown, which is a very simple sort of syntax for typesetting, you can click that Markdown button and it'll take you to here, which will tell you how to do everything you need to do, like make headings with the hashtags or make things bold or italic, etc. So this is a nice way to learn about Markdown, which is used to to format everything. Okay, so once you've answered that, that would be super helpful to me and hopefully to everyone else to kind of see where we're all at. You can go over to the repositories, and this is where the actual sort of, I would say, important part is. So don't worry too much about the course materials. I will show you how you'll be accessing them in a second, but go to this homework template and you should be able to see this, and there's sort of pre-populated a bunch of stuff in here. I don't know how much we'll use it because we're doing this course in a little bit different format than we have in the past, but previously there would be sections for forecast assignments, which is forecasts of stream flow on the Verde River. We have our regular homework assignments, and then there also used to be some project submissions, and I think that might still be relevant here. But this is sort of, those are the three areas of stuff that typically in this course we would use. Everything else you don't really need to know too much about. You're welcome to look at anything. Some of it won't be particularly readable to you right now, but that's okay. We will return to addressing all the other junk in this repository in the future, and even some of the jargon. Like I'm throwing around the word repository like it's something you should know, but don't worry if you're not super familiar with that yet. That will come probably on Thursday. So once you're here, what you need to do is, this homework template is not something that we're all going to share, but we're all going to build our own off of it as it's a template. So what you need to do to get yourself set up is go over to this fork button, and I'll explain a little bit more what a fork is when we're talking about Git and GitHub stuff. But for now, this is like you sort of branching off and making your own copy of this repository, which you can use to actually do your work. So I'll go ahead and hit the fork button. And what I want you to make sure that you do here, and this is fairly important. You can always do this again if you mess it up the first time. It's not like a big deal. Everything is pretty reversible here, so don't get too stressed out. But you'll note that it wants you to create a new fork, and it has an owner and a name. So I could create it under my user account, which would be sort of the default place. But what I want you to do is keep it under the HasTools Fall 25 organization. That way we all are sort of working in the same space. This lets me actually see what you're working on, and also sort of keeps it in its separate space. So the next thing that will happen once you select that, it will say, oh, that already exists. So please, what I would like you to do is use the homework underscore your username. That just makes it much easier for me to automate some of the sort of like interactions that I will do on the back end with these various repositories, because I'm going to be, you know, providing you feedback and stuff when you submit homeworks or your code. That way, I can just automate that with stuff that I've developed in the past. So I have that homework, and AR Bennett is my GitHub username. So everything else, you don't have to actually modify anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and then come down here and create fork. And after just a couple seconds there, you can see now I'm on homework AR Bennett. And just to show you this a little bit more concretely, now you can see my homework AR Bennett in the repository list. So because this is, I think, going to be much better as a collaborative effort in learning, I have made everything public. You know, it's one of those things that I'll talk about a little bit in first lecture, that, you know, it's great to try to learn from each other, especially in coding. I think it just like really streamlines a lot of things that when someone explains it to you a certain way after you've banged your head against the wall for so long, it can really just, you know, make things click. So I want you all to be able to see each other's work, and I want you to be in discussion about where you're having any sorts of like confusion or hangups in the process of this class. You know, this is an independent study, so it's not particularly, you know, I want this to be a very communal sort of approach. So once you have that, you can please go to your version. So don't go to mine. That is something that you could technically do, but I don't want you to do that. I would like you to go to your own version of this. And then a lot of this will be explained throughout the course of some of my lectures and stuff. But when you go to this code button, I mean, anything on GitHub that's like green and big like this is probably something that you're going to look at a lot. So it will by default probably have something called local as the tab highlighted, and then a bunch of junk that is there. But I would like to run this class on a thing called code spaces. And this means that we're essentially going to be running all of our code on GitHub's infrastructure in the cloud. The reason I'm doing this is because it streamlines all of the setup for all of the like software infrastructure at first. And I think it makes it easier to learn, and we'll circle back on how you can create some of this stuff or set it up on your own computer later. So again, big green button, we're going to create a code space on main. Just for future reference, main is the sort of, unfortunately, overloaded name of the main entry point to your repository, and the code space is a virtual computational environment that will run all of your code or allow you to. If you want to run everything on your own end, you're totally welcome to, but just for the sake of ease, I suggest using code spaces. Like, I'll be doing everything on code spaces personally, even though I know how to set this all up on my computer. It's just easier to run it in a controlled environment. So when you hit that, you'll be brought to this user interface, which, if you're not familiar, is Visual Studio Code or VS Code. This is a very popular software editing piece of software, and it is very like extensible, batteries included. You can do a lot of stuff in it, and it's sort of a very like it does everything pretty well. So I think it's a good way to interact with this. If you have like another code editor that you really prefer, I know some people love Spider or things like that. you're totally welcome to try to set it up. But I suggest you learn a little bit of VS Code. It's such a like default editor at this point that it's good to probably know your way around it a little bit. So what's happening right now is it's getting everything set up, and yours won't look exactly the same as mine when you first do this. So it signs me into my VS Code account and like installs a bunch of all of the stuff that I've got set up on my personal machine. So it will look a little bit different when you do this, but don't worry too much about the differences. The main thing that's going to happen is you will get over here on this little side ribbon, there should be one that looks like these two little files, and that's the Explorer where you can see all of your files, and this should start to look pretty familiar. Because we opened it, remember, in your homework repository, it opens by default into the homework repository, and I have it set up right now to be configured to by default give you the course materials as well. So in addition to that, it will set up a working Python environment for you, and you'll note that it has like this name. So mine is ubiquitous waddle. So you'll all have a different random set of words up here, and that's just to give it an identifier. So you can technically create multiple of these, but I suggest you just reuse the same one. If you don't delete it, or if you don't use it in, I think, 30 days, it will auto delete. So do be aware of that. So the first time you do this, it will take probably, I don't know, like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe up to 5 to 10 minutes to get fully set up. Mine takes longer than most because I've accumulated a bunch of stuff that I like to use in VS Code over the years, and it tries to install all of them right away. But, oh, I should not close that. But for the meantime, you should see that you have all of the stuff from your homework repo, you have the course materials, and the first thing that you can come in and look at is I've pre-populated the course materials with a bunch of stuff. This is by default what I would normally cover in HasTools. We'll probably do a little bit more freeform riffing on some of this, but you can go in and explore stuff. To start with, I just want to highlight one other thing. We'll be working with Jupyter notebooks to start with. If we keep with the sort of standard progression, we'll get to scripting and building like packages and tools down the line. But once if you get in here, you should be able to open Module 1, Intro to Python, and once everything's set up and you get all of these little pop-ups out of the way, you'll be able to review this notebook. So I'll go over this in more detail, but if you're not familiar, these computational notebooks are a thing that's become really popular, and they're a way to intermix the sort of text and the code. This doesn't really look like code yet, but scroll to the bottom here. So this will start to look like there's code in the actual document. And these aren't just static documents. As you can see, I can double click into here, and these are all editable, and you can use the Shift-Enter keyboard combo to actually sort of run these. On the mainly text ones, what happens when you hit Shift Enter is it switches back to formatting mode rather than editing mode, so you get these nice headings and stuff. I'll touch on some of the syntax of some of this other stuff later as well. So then once you're in here, then the code cells, the things that actually run code and do stuff on the computer that you're running on, is sort of highlighted in a separate sort of color and formatting. So if you do that on one of these, it's going to try to run it, and you can see over in this corner it tells you that you're running with Python, and that means that you have to choose like what Python program runs it, more or less. So you can just go in and hit Python environments, I have this pre-canned one called Has Tools that's pre-populated. It's got everything that normally I would use in Has Tools, so there's no like setting up your own Conda environment or anything. It's all pre-packaged. So once you do that, it will take a second to sort of spin up that first time. And there we go. We can see that 5 plus 3 is indeed going to output 8. And so you can start to go through this and sort of read through this. I don't necessarily need you to go through all of this. I'm sure many of you are familiar with, you know, the fact that basic arithmetic and stuff can be done in Python. I'll walk through all of this other stuff in here where we talk about things like all of the other operations, binary operations, assigning of variables, data types, commenting, etc. So with that, that is all I want you to sort of get set up and accomplish, and start to explore as much as you would like to here, but we'll go through this in a little bit more detail on Thursday when we meet. All right, thanks.